The reason you're always right isn't a gift, it's a strategic advantage. Your brain is running a future-focused analysis that others can't see, and that clarity is why people hate you. They don't hear advice, they hear the sound of their own comfortable reality breaking. The INFJ mind operates like a strategic prediction engine, and people will reject your truth to protect their delusions. Before we start, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our weekly deep dives into the world of personality types. And if you are looking to achieve a deeper understanding of yourself and your personality type, click the link in the comments to take our favorite free personality test, the Introverted Intuition, Extroverted Feeling Intelligence System. Here's what most people don't understand about how your mind actually works. Introverted intuition, your dominant function, doesn't operate like mystical fortune-telling. It functions as a data-driven prediction machine that automatically connects social patterns, behavioral inconsistencies, and timeline projections that others miss entirely. Your brain is constantly conducting a background analysis on every interaction, every relationship dynamic, and every organizational structure you encounter. While others focus on what's happening right now, your introverted intuition is mapping out where these patterns lead 3, 6, 12 months down the road. You're not guessing. You're calculating probability based on human behavioral data most people don't even register. But here's where it gets complicated. Your secondary function, extroverted feeling, compels you to share these insights to help others avoid pain or failure. Extroverted feeling wants to protect people from the visible consequences of their actions, so you try to deliver harsh truths as gently as possible, thinking that if you just explain it right, they'll understand and make better choices. The collision occurs when extroverted feeling attempts to soften realities that cannot be altered. Some truths are inherently uncomfortable, regardless of how diplomatically you present them. When you tell someone their relationship has fundamental compatibility issues, or their business strategy has fatal flaws, you're not just sharing an opinion. You're presenting them with a future they desperately don't want to believe. Research on INFJ cognitive processing shows we synthesize information through future-focused pattern recognition rather than present-moment analysis. While most people make decisions based on current circumstances, you're already 3 steps ahead, seeing the inevitable outcomes of today's choices. This is why your rightness feels so certain to you and so threatening to others. Your accuracy isn't about being more intelligent than everyone else. It's about seeing consequences before they manifest in reality. You recognize relationship dynamics that lead to inevitable conflicts months before they surface. You spot organizational problems that will cause system failures long before the first warning signs appear to others. The frustrating part is that your extroverted feeling desperately wants to help people avoid these outcomes. You're not trying to be a know-it-all or prove your superiority. You genuinely care about preventing unnecessary pain and failure. But when you share what you see, people don't hear helpful insight. They hear judgment of their choices and prediction of their doom. This creates an impossible situation. Your introverted intuition reveals the truth with crystal clarity, but your extroverted feeling demands that you try to help. However, the very act of sharing your insight triggers defensive reactions, making people less likely to heed your warnings. They'd rather shoot the messenger than face the message. What makes this even more complex is that you can see not just the primary outcome, but the cascade of secondary consequences that will follow. When you warn about a bad hire, you're not just seeing that person failing at the job. You're seeing how their failure will impact team morale, project timelines, and company culture. When you identify problems in a friend's relationship, you're seeing not just the breakup, but the emotional aftermath and how it will affect their other relationships. This multi-layered perception makes your warnings sound overly dramatic to people who can only see one step ahead. They think you're catastrophizing when you're actually just reporting what your pattern recognition system has calculated as the most probable outcome chain.
3 psychological reasons people reject INFJ truth. Understanding why people resist your insights isn't about their intelligence or awareness. It's about 3 deep psychological mechanisms that your truth triggers in ways you probably don't realize. The first reason is narrative protection. Every person walks through life with a carefully constructed story about who they are, what their relationships mean, and where their choices are leading them. These internal narratives aren't just casual thoughts. They're the foundation of their identity and self-worth. When you point out patterns that contradict their story, you're not just correcting facts. You're attacking the very framework they use to make sense of their existence. Think about it this way. Someone believes their struggling relationship just needs better communication. They've invested months, maybe years, telling themselves that if they just try harder, love more, compromise better, everything will work out. Your pattern recognition immediately reveals that the core incompatibilities run much deeper than differences in communication styles. When you gently suggest this, you're not offering helpful relationship advice. You're threatening to collapse their entire narrative about love, effort, and personal worth. People will fight harder to protect their story than they will to protect almost anything else, because without that story, they'd have to face the terrifying possibility that they've been wrong about fundamental aspects of their life. The emotional energy they've invested in maintaining their preferred version of reality becomes a sunk cost they can't afford to abandon. The second psychological mechanism is avoidance of responsibility. Here's what most people don't want to admit. If you're right about what you see, they become immediately responsible for acting on that uncomfortable truth. Acknowledging your prediction means they can no longer claim ignorance when the consequences you warned about inevitably arrive. This creates what psychologists refer to as cognitive burden. Once someone truly accepts that their business strategy has fatal flaws, they're now obligated to either fix those flaws or take responsibility for the failure. Once they admit their relationship has fundamental problems, they must either address those issues or acknowledge that they're choosing to stay in a situation they know is doomed. It's infinitely easier to dismiss you as pessimistic, overthinking, or negative than to face the overwhelming task of making complex changes based on your insights. By rejecting your truth, they get to maintain the comfortable illusion that they're not responsible for outcomes they couldn't have predicted. This is why people often get angry when you're proven right. It's not just embarrassment. It's the retroactive realization that they were responsible for consequences they pretended they couldn't see coming. Your accuracy forces them to confront their own avoidance and the choices they made despite having access to better information. The third reason cuts deepest of all: the competence threat. Your clarity exposes their blind spots and makes them feel intellectually and emotionally outmatched in ways that trigger profound shame. Society rewards confident decision-making and punishes uncertainty. When your foresight makes their choices look naive or poorly considered, you're inadvertently highlighting their limitations in front of others and themselves. This isn't about intelligence in the traditional sense. Someone can be brilliant in their field and still feel completely exposed when you casually identify patterns in human behavior that they've spent years missing. Your ability to see through social facades and predict interpersonal outcomes makes them feel like they've been walking through life half-blind. The shame of being seen through so clearly triggers what researchers call defensive attribution. Instead of admitting they missed something obvious, they convince themselves that you're reading too much into situations, being paranoid, or creating problems where none exist. This allows them to maintain their sense of competence while dismissing your superior pattern recognition. What makes this particularly painful for them is that your insights often reveal not just what they missed, but how long they've been missing it. When you point out that someone has been manipulating them for months, you're not just identifying current deception. You're highlighting their extended vulnerability and poor judgment. The competence threat becomes a competence crisis.
Weaponizing your strategic advantage. Now that you understand the psychology behind resistance, you can start using your predictive intelligence strategically rather than defensively. The key insight is this: your goal should never be immediate validation or winning arguments. Your goal should be long-term impact while protecting your own energy and inner peace. Stop arguing when you know you're right. This might sound counterintuitive, but silence becomes your most powerful tool once you understand the psychological mechanisms at play. When someone rejects your insight, continuing to push only triggers stronger defensive reactions. Instead, let them discover the truth on their timeline while you step back and observe. Document your predictions privately. Start keeping a record of the patterns you identify and the outcomes you predict. This isn't about creating an "I told you so" file. It's about building confidence in your own pattern recognition abilities. When you consistently see your predictions proven accurate, you'll stop doubting yourself when others dismiss your insights. Use what I call the plant and retreat method. Share your insight once, clearly and without apology, then step back without pushing for immediate acceptance. Think of it like planting a seed in their consciousness. Your job is to plant it, not to force it to grow on your schedule. The people who are ready to hear your truth will return to what you said when they're psychologically prepared to handle it. The people who consistently reject your insights are showing you exactly who deserves access to your strategic intelligence. Your predictive abilities are a gift, and gifts should be given to people who value them. Stop wasting this precious resource on people who have demonstrated they can't handle the truth you offer. Remember, your pattern recognition isn't just about other people's lives. It's your most excellent tool for making better decisions about your own future. Use this clarity to build relationships with people who appreciate your foresight, choose career paths that align with your long-term vision, and avoid the pitfalls you can see coming in your own life. Your pattern recognition ability isn't a social liability that you need to apologize for or hide. It's a strategic advantage that threatens comfortable illusions, and that's precisely why it's so valuable. The right people will seek out your perspective and value your foresight. The wrong ones will always resist it, and that resistance tells you everything you need to know about where to invest your energy. Stop apologizing for seeing what others miss, and start using this clarity to build a life aligned with reality rather than popular delusions. Your truth is your power. Use it wisely. If you want to continue the journey to understanding yourself or an INFJ in your life, click either of the following videos where we continue to unlock the secrets of the INFJ personality type.